I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Got Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos and fired up to be here. We got a lot to cover over the next couple of hours. Of course, LSU wins. The Saints get embarrassed. LSU's got its three annual opponents for the next 4 years in football. I have a conversation with our friends over at Auction a little bit later on this hour. My SEC picks against the spread. Denton Day talking college football. Bruce Pearl just made breaking news. There's just, as generally the case on Mondays, there's a lot to get to. So let's crank it up the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU wins over Southeastern back on Saturday night. 56-10 was the final. Y'all understand the way I feel about these games. They are great for fans that want to go tailgate. They are great if you want to bring your kiddo to his or her first game. They are great if you don't want to deal with traffic. They are great if you're an LSU coaching staff that wants to rest guys with injuries. They're not great to analyze in this chair 2 days later. There's just not a lot of meat on that bone. So, to me, the story from Saturday night was really singular for LSU. The story on Saturday night was just from the eye test alone. Garrett Nussmeier looked pretty healthy. And I don't care about the statistics. I don't care about how many touchdowns LSU scored while he was on the field. I don't care about how many receivers he threw the ball to or any of those things. It's just not really relevant for a guy who threw for 4,000 yards last year, is a fifth-year senior. Like, that stuff is immaterial against Southeastern. What is not is the fact that he did take a deep shot to Chris Hilton into the end zone. Now, there was pass interference. I didn't connect on it, but he showed that he could get it out there. In the touchdown pass, he threw to Xavion Thomas, where he dropped back. There was pass rush. He spun out, rolled to the left, flipped his hips, threw across his body on the run on a line to the back of the end zone. It was about a 30-yard throw. That was awesome. And as I wrote in my column for LouisianaSports.net, like, that throw, just the mechanics of it and the velocity on the football is the same against the Southeastern Lions as it is against the Detroit Lions. Like, it is what it is. You're either healthy enough and have a strong enough arm to do it, or you're not. And Garrett Nussmeier did that on Saturday. To me, he looked like he was ready to go. He looked like a guy who was not limited. And that's really all I was interested in seeing on Saturday night. So to me, you've got a quarterback that looks healthy. And I want to be clear about this. I believe that LSU's identity as a football team this year is already essentially established. There will certainly be games where they play better, and there will be games where they don't play as well. That's just the nature of a football season. But this is going to be a team that has a strong defense. How strong it is to be determined. But it has a strong defense that it will lean on to win games. It has a veteran quarterback who's got a lot of arm talent and a lot of production in his recent past. And it's got a running game that is not up to standard. That is the identity of this team. That is not to suggest that they can't come out in November and run the ball well on somebody on a given Saturday. Block it up pretty nicely, break a couple of tackles, hit a couple of big plays, and all of a sudden you got a really nice day at the office. But I think to suggest that this team is going to go from not really being able to push Louisiana Tech around in week 2 to a dominant running team in week 10, that's probably not going to happen. So because of that, how far LSU goes, in my opinion, is going to come on the back of that defense and that quarterback. That's the team. That's the backbone. That's the identity. And I thought on Saturday, just regardless of competition, I've made it abundantly clear what I think about LSU's competition on Saturday night. Regardless of competition, you have a quarterback that is healthy enough to play. So all last week, you heard me say, don't play, don't play, don't play, and I wouldn't have played him. But I think I can now start to connect some dots here that at least make sense to me. Doesn't mean I'm going to have any news here, but these dots make sense to me. He didn't throw at the middle of August, end of August, when we were out there. That's because he was hurt. LSU didn't throw the ball down the field very much at all, and he was inaccurate for the first 3 weeks of the season because he was hurt. LSU did not say anything about the injury because they didn't want the other teams to know he was hurt when he was hurt. LSU mentioned something about the injury when the injury was in the rearview mirror, and it didn't matter that teams now knew that there was an injury in August because he had recovered from the injury. And whether or not Southeastern knew he was hurt or not didn't matter because they couldn't do anything about it because it's a different sport they play. But Ole Miss certainly could, and by the time LSU gets to Ole Miss, you've got a healthy quarterback. That's why the timing of the announcement came last week. I think those dots are reasonable to connect to me. So for me, I think Garrett Nussmeier's healthy. I think he's ready to go, and I think that gives LSU its best team going forward, and really its only chance moving forward, because if he is compromised in any significant way, this LSU football team cannot reach its potential. He is that important to this team. So that is far and away the lead to Saturday night's game, and I don't know that there's a close second story. I'll mention a couple of things that we talked about in the post-game show and that I think are worth noting. Michael Van Buren played in the game for his first action as a Tiger, and I thought he played nicely. He was 10 for 12 for 122 yards, threw a touchdown pass, ran for a touchdown as well. This is less about the competition and more about just what he did when he was out there, because we watched Michael Van Buren play a lot in practice in August, and it wasn't very good. Like, he just didn't have good practices when we were out there. We didn't see every practice. We didn't see every rep. But we saw a lot of inaccurate throws. We saw the ball being turned over. We saw Joe Sloan chastising missed reads. Like, we saw a lot of negatives with Michael Van Buren at practice. And what you saw on Saturday night was a guy who looked comfortable, who threw the ball very accurately. He was 10 of 12, and one was a drop. So, I mean, he was on target 11 of his 12 throws, which, you have bigger windows to throw to against Southeastern than you do against, Oklahoma. But he made the throws, and I thought looked very comfortable. A backup quarterback this day and age in college football, you can't hope for too much because a lot of backups that aren't playing and have been beaten out but are veteran leave. So what you either have is a guy that is a freshman or very inexperienced who's waiting his turn to play but is already in the program, or you've got a guy that's generally speaking not as talented, that's not frustrated by not being a starter and leaving. So most teams are not going to have a very good backup quarterback at the top of the sport in college football. That's just the era that we're in. And so what your baseline is for a backup quarterback is now like, can you get someone in there that can function for a little bit if your starting quarterback misses a little bit of time? I would suggest that most teams around the country, you lose your starting quarterback for 8 games, it could be some trouble. And we'll talk a lot about backup quarterback with Ole Miss this weekend because Trinidad Chambliss is playing very well, and he may be blowing this point that I'm making up, but I think I'm speaking in general terms, and I think it's probably well-founded. You're not going to have, in many cases, a backup quarterback that can come in and play as well as the starting quarterback. But can you come in and hold the rope? And what Michael Van Buren did on Saturday was get some experience in this offense that he has never played in before and gain some confidence, and probably showed his coaching staff some of the things that he's comfortable with should LSU need to lean on him for 3 possessions in this game, 2 possessions in this game, 1 game against this team. I think that was good. I think it was a positive. Offensive line-wise, it was the biggest story on my Twitter feed. It was the biggest story on my text messages during this game in the stadium. There are some issues on the right side of the offensive line. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. Brian Kelly was asked today about Weston Davis, said he's done a really nice job. said that he's a young player and that that job is not up for grabs. There's not a competition at right tackle right now. G.J. Chester is the second team right tackle, and they'll get Carius Kern up to speed as quickly as they can. But Weston Davis is the guy. And right now, like I go to the Pro Football Focus grades every Sunday and put a story up on LouisianaSports.net. Like, he's been in the bottom 5 in every game. The grades are not very good. The eye test is not very good. He's got to play better, and that's very, very obvious. Here's what I would say about Weston Davis today. I've been out to practice. I've been very close to Weston Davis at practice. There is not an offensive lineman in college football that looks the part more than Weston Davis. He is all of 6'6". His arms go for an hour and a half. He's got a small waist, and he's got quick feet, and like he's got every bit of ability and the tangibles that you could possibly want. He's also a redshirt freshman who did not start a game last year. So you're at the bottom of his development right now. What the top is, I don't know. And how quickly he can get to the top, I don't know either. But they need to see some improvement from him. The good news is he's got the ability to improve, and he's young in his career. It's not like you're talking about a guy who's been the same for 3 years. He's been in this program for a year and a half now. So I think everyone's aware, just watching, that things have got to be a little bit better at right tackle. But you've got a guy there that has the tools. He's just got to develop, and that's up to Brad Davis and this coaching staff to get him to play a little bit better than he has through the first month of the season. I think those were the biggest talking points. Injury updates did come today. We'll talk about those a little bit later on in the show for those that missed it. Trey'Daz Green, we saw pregame in a knee brace, running around, jumping, making catches. He looked great. They just held him out for one more week. He's going to play this week against Ole Miss, so that's good news. West Weeks ran yesterday with that calf strain. They said he ran up to 90%. They listed him as probable today, so very likely that he plays in the game against Ole Miss. Then you've got Caden Durham and Gabriel Relaford, who were hurt in the game on Saturday. Caden Durham's got an ankle issue, not a high ankle sprain. They're going to have him day-to-day. We'll get updates on him on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with the availability reports. We'll see. It sounds like it is an ankle injury that could cost him a week or two. It sounds like that. Then you got Gabriel Relaford, who had a shoulder injury. He was in a sling back on Saturday, and he had a shoulder injury that I have never heard of before, subluxation. I don't know what that is. I'm not a doctor, but we have the doctor coming on here in 30 minutes that can talk about it. He is going to get further evaluation. There's a possibility he can play through it. There's a possibility he would need to have surgery that would cost him a lot of time, potentially the entirety of the season. We just don't have that information yet. So Gabriel Relaford, the most significant of those injuries with the shoulder, they're going to get further information this week and determine a course of action for him. So that's a look at your injuries. That's a look at the storylines from Saturday night. And then we kind of put LSU and Southeastern to bed. I don't think there's a lot worth getting into in that game, as LSU wins it by 46 points and scored touchdowns on 8 straight drives at one point on Saturday night. That's your opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge. When we come back, let's talk about the Saints, shall we? I didn't like one of Kellen Moore's quotes. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Get behind the wheel of the GV80. Mid-size SUV. It's always been my preference in vehicle. If you've got a family and you're looking for a new ride, Genesis GV80 is an awesome option for you. It's an IHA top safety pick, and it's going to come with America's best warranty, which we tell you about every single day. 10 years, 100,000 miles on your powertrain warranty. 5 years, 60,000 miles on your bumper-to-bumper new vehicle warranty. Got enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance, complimentary valet scheduled maintenance for 3 years, 36,000 miles. All those perks, an unbelievable vehicle, and a great team to work with over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can stop by Airline at PQ, or you can check out that inventory at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit louisianapropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We now know who LSU will play annually for the next 4 years in football. We'll talk about that in the segment that is coming up. Denton Day in an hour and 15 minutes with your national college football storylines. Also got to get to my SEC picks against the spread, talk about the weekend that was in the Southeastern Conference in football. So lots to get to here. Appreciate you kicking off your week with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Didn't go so well up in the Pacific Northwest for the Black and Gold on Sunday evening. 44-13 was the final. And before I get into these talking points, like, big picture, it's not very significant. Like, the fact the Saints got smoked by the Seahawks on the road, it doesn't really change my outlook for the future of the organization. It was ugly. You don't see games like that in the NFL very often, but I think everyone in August was aware that there may be a Sunday here or there for the Saints that looks like that. You were picked at the bottom of the league by everybody. ESPN, The Athletic, Yahoo, Vegas, whoever, Saints, 28th, 29th, 30th. You were one of the worst teams in the league by everyone in August. So to get smoked on the road is not shocking. Watching it unfold that way by giving up a punt return touchdown and then having a punt blocked and just getting annihilated, like, it was jarring in the moment. But when you take a step back and realize, okay, this is what you're working with, like, I don't think differently about the 2026, 2027 Saints based on what I saw on Sunday for 4 quarters. They just got their butt kicked because they're not very good. So with that understanding, there were a couple of things that irked me more so than what I saw in weeks 1 and 2 where you didn't win games. And my hope is that it's not something that shows back up in the future, that it was more of like a one-time thing. But I can't just let it go because it irked me in a major way. To trail by 30 points in the first half and have a 4th and 2 and instead line up for a longer than 50-yard field goal while you're down 30 is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And even worse, to get down inside the 10-yard line when you are trailing 38-3 in an NFL football game and to attempt a field goal is ridiculous. Now, Kellen Moore was asked why he kicked that field goal, and I will let him give his thoughts before I go further with mine. But again, I thought it was ridiculous. Here's Kellen Moore on the decision, down by 35 points at nearly halftime of an NFL game to kick a chip shot field goal instead of trying to throw the ball in the end zone.
I feel like we just need to earn some points out of that drive. And we got some points, and we'll see if we can stop them and get ourselves at least in a position where you got to play the game perfect to have a chance. But we just need to get something going.
Huh? You think that by going into the locker room down 38-6, you've now given yourself a significantly better chance to win the football game? Huh? This is what, when I heard that quote yesterday, this is the thought I had. Everyone leans from their experiences, right? And to me, this is what it sounded like to me. It sounded like when my 3-year-old has a soccer game and we let the parents go out there and hold the players' hands so they're not scared to be on the field so that everybody feels better. It sounded to me like, well, we just need to get some points there just because it might make you feel better. It might make the players feel better. What? It's 38-3, Kellen. You need to score a touchdown, and you're inside the 10-yard line. This is not a situation where you're on the 37 and you're probably not going to score a Hail Mary. You're inside the 10. That field goal was a loser move. It was a loser move to kick a chip shot field goal before the halftime. I don't have another way to say it. I do not believe that decision is a harbinger for a disastrous tenure with Kellen Moore as the head coach of the Saints. I do not. I think the decision to kick that field goal before the half was utterly ridiculous. You have to try to score a touchdown when you're down 38-3. We have a small sample size with Kellen Moore as the head coach. And the wins and losses to me are not that significant. But I got to tell you, in week 1, to not call those timeouts before the half was troubling. And his answer after that was troubling. And in week 3, to go for that field goal and to do it twice when you're getting the doors blown off is troubling. I think it's more important that Kellen Moore knows how to dial up an offense and develop a quarterback and make sure he hires good coaches. That part is far more important than these little things that I'm talking about in games that are ultimately going to be meaningless because the Saints stink this year and their wins and losses don't matter. So this is not something that I think is going to destroy the organization from within. It's just troubling. Like these decisions are bad. It was a bad decision in the first game to not call those timeouts. It was a bad decision to line up for either of those field goals. You're getting smoked. You got to go score touchdowns. And nobody in that locker room, nobody is going to feel any better because you cut the lead from 38-3 to 38-6 right before the half. It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassment. There are bigger issues with this organization than these things that I'm pointing out right now. But I don't have 3 years of sample size with Kellen Moore to lean on. I'm learning about him every single Sunday. And some of these decisions in his first time as a head coach are absolutely troubling. But we'll see. the whole thing with this season is be better in December than you were in September. And they're setting a pretty low bar in September right now. So with development, and if that comes, I would love to sit here and laud it and talk positively about it. I would love to do that. But right now, like, I'm not going to get on here on Monday after a professional football team gets annihilated like that and try to start nitpicking positives from Sunday. There aren't any. Quincy Riley got out there, forced a turnover. Tyler Shuck got his feet wet, down 100 in the fourth quarter. Like, I mean, that would be a ridiculous thing to start talking about. There really isn't any positive. And I would suggest, as I started this segment by saying, like, there's not anything that I'm seeing that is just a complete harbinger of doom for the Saints. They're in a bad spot right now with the roster, and everybody's just got to do the best that they can. But also, I'm willing to sit here and tell you that those decisions that Kellen Moore's made, I don't like. So you flush that one, and then you're going to get smoked on Sunday in Buffalo. You're 16.5-point dog, which is just unfathomable in the NFL. And then you got to come home and play some of your best football, the best football that you're capable of playing against the Giants and the Patriots, who are not very good. Because we talked about how important that game against a backup quarterback in San Francisco might have been, because these start to pile up. These guys are pros. They're going to come in and go to work. But that negative energy is hard to get out. And you can live with having a play and a throw into the end zone in weeks 1 and 2 to win and not getting it done. Like, that happens. You look up and it's 38-3. You give up 21 points in the first quarter. It's the first time the Seahawks have done that since 2006. Worst halftime deficit ever. Like, that's a bad deal. That was a bad effort on Sunday. It was a bad game, and you just got to get on past it. You just wish that next up wasn't a trip to Buffalo, because that doesn't exactly warm the heart if you're trying to be optimistic. I hated Kellen Moore's answers, and I hated those decisions. Those are what irked me the most. I don't know that there's a lot else to talk about from Sunday. It was just a disaster for New Orleans. We'll see. We'll talk to Sharif and a few other guests as we move on this week with the black and gold. All right, got a lot to do here on this Monday. We'll transition back into some more positive discussions. Let's talk about who LSU is playing in football annually, not permanently, annually over the next 4 seasons. LSU got those, well, the word leaked from the SEC. Talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Just an awesome spot for whatever you're looking to get out of golf. And it's climate controlled, which is a beautiful thing. 3 wonderfully furnished, comfortable, spacious bays that you can go into, either work on your game on the driving range mode, where you hit into the simulator. They've got amazing technology there that shows you the flight of your ball, so you can get that feedback. But it also gives you the data that you're looking for with your swing speed, club head speed, ball speed, spin, hang time, all those things that you're looking for are so helpful. And one of the things that I found was most helpful was seeing the video of your club at impact, where you're catching the ball on the club face. If you're looking to work on your game, no matter your skill level, you can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. You're thinking, hey, I don't really want to do that, but I'd love to drink a couple of beers and put Pebble Beach on the simulator, see what I look like on a U.S. Open course. You can do that as well with some friends, hang out, watch TV, great furniture, and an awesome setting for golf, no matter if it's raining, 100 degrees, gets dark early, no matter what, because you're inside at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Seagan at Perkins. You can check them out online, swingeasygcbr.com, but I invite you to just go by and see them on Seagan at Perkins. It's Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I want to remind you about LouisianaSports.net. Always free to read our content, LSU news and opinion, Saints news and opinion, SEC news and opinion as well. Bruce Pearl deciding to retire. That's up there on LouisianaSports.net right now. Also, I want to toss this out because I feel like I answered this question twice over the weekend. So if 2 people this weekend asked me about it, I feel like there might be other people that are curious as well. We understand that at times on terrestrial radio, the signal is sometimes it's stronger than others. If you're listening to us on 104.5 ESPN and it's a little bit scratchy, 104.9 is always an option as well. So for those that, this was big news when we acquired that stick and we simulcast those two, but we haven't really publicized it in a few years because it's kind of old news to us. But reminder, 104.5 and 104.9 are both simulcasting at once, and you can check out both. If the signal's better on one or the other, then stick there. If you're looking for a little bit better, maybe you can switch it over. So I got that question twice about the signal over the weekend, so I figured I would toss that out here, 105 and 104.9. I am stunned that the Southeastern Conference leaked the 3 opponents for every SEC team before their made-for-TV special tomorrow. Chris Lowe, who's a wonderful reporter, a longtime reporter who's covered the SEC for decades, put out his stories with On 3 now and had all 16 teams, all 3. And I'm comfortable suggesting that he's got that right. Billy Lucci over at TexAgs was reporting who A&M's 3 were. I know that there were some that knew who LSU's were around here. And so every school had been alerted. And so that information was out there. I was just stunned that somebody was allowed to get all of it. And so either way, we've got it now, and you can react to it. If you were listening to Off the Bench this morning, Hester and Flynn were not in good moods at all. And Hester suggested there's maybe some people on the dial a little bit later on in the day that would be thrilled with the news. I don't know that I would put myself exactly in that camp because here's my take on the situation with the, I want to say permanent because that's what we always used. It's annual. And keep in mind, this is just for 4-year cycles. So in 4 years, you're going to reevaluate this, and you're going to play everybody in the league every other year. And these are only 3 of your 9 league games. There are 6 other games. So as much as you want to create some level playing field here, you realize that there's going to be a lot of variables on every other schedule because there are 6 other games. This is only a third of your league schedule. So I'm not here to rant and rave and jump up and down and cuss over who got who and who got what. I am here to react to what LSU got. And it's, for those that aren't aware, it's Ole Miss, it's Texas A&M, and it is Arkansas. And I think if you're just going to judge this in a vacuum, that is a favorable draw in terms of strength of schedule for LSU. Arkansas is in a terrible place with its football program. You've got an athletic director who is suggesting that the department is not set up to succeed in football. You've got a lame duck coach who's going to be fired. There's not very much talent. There's not a lot of interest. Like, it's just, Arkansas's in a terrible spot as far as this football program. And so you would imagine over the next 4 years, it's not going to wildly change. And then for your tougher 2 draws, you've got Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Lane Kiffin has created a very, very strong program at Ole Miss. The Rebels have won 10 games in 3 of the last 4 years. He has not finished with a losing SEC record since 2020, the COVID year, which was his first year on the job. He's built Ole Miss into an upper-level SEC football program if you're just looking at wins and losses over the last 4 years. No question. So you figure there's a reasonable chance he'll be there for the next 4 years. He might go to Gainesville this year. I don't know. But if he's there for the next 4 years, like, Ole Miss is going to be pretty good. They're going to have a good offense, they'll have a good quarterback. And depending on how much the boosters are willing to pay in NIL, like, they'll probably have a pretty good team. But Ole Miss also has never played for the SEC championship. And there are 8 schools in this 16-team SEC that have won a national championship since 1998, and Ole Miss is not one of them. So from that perspective, it's not Georgia, it's not Texas, it's not Alabama. It's Ole Miss, who's been good, but not any sort of juggernaut. And then you've got Texas A&M, who fits in that same mold as Ole Miss, from never played for the SEC championship. They've been in the league now for 12 years, never played for it. They have not won a national championship. They haven't won a conference title since 1998. I think Mike Elko is a good coach. I think they'll have good defenses. They're recruiting very well. Are they a disaster? No, they're not. And would a lot of people suggest their arrow is pointing up? Sure, they got a big win last week. So while Ole Miss and Texas A&M feel like strong opponents, they're not Georgia. They're not what Texas is in terms of recruiting, and Texas has been in the playoff. They're not what Alabama can be. So if you're just looking at it from strength of schedule, which is my number one, criteria here for who I'd like to play, like, it's not the toughest draw you could get. It's not a cakewalk. It's not the toughest draw you could get. But as I said at the beginning, like, yes, you will play Arkansas the next 4 years. And I would suggest there's a good chance you could go 4-0 there. But on top of Ole Miss and Texas A&M, like, you're probably playing Georgia next year. Might play Texas next year. Might play Bama next year. You got Clemson on the schedule next year. So, like, it's not, this is just 3 of the 12 games. It's 3 of the 9 league games. So I don't have I thought when I looked at the teams and I looked at who everybody drew, I thought that's pretty equitable. And that's what I saw pretty much across the board from everybody. Now, Tennessee gets Kentucky and Vanderbilt. That's a nice draw. They catch Alabama, but Kentucky and Vanderbilt. But again, they're going to play LSU, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma as well at some point in the next 4 years. So I'm not going nuts here. I'm not losing my mind because LSU is not playing Florida this next year, potentially. Florida's not a permanent, an annual. I didn't lose my mind when LSU didn't play Auburn this year. Because guess what? The trip to Neumann, to me, is big football games. Big deal. And just because they wear crimson and cream instead of orange and blue, like Auburn or Florida, I guess, like that doesn't make me less jacked up. I'm just as fired up for Texas to come out of the Tiger Stadium tunnel than I am if it was Georgia or Auburn. I realize there's more history with LSU and Auburn, but in terms of the environment, the setting, the brands, the impact on the season, like all those things, like there's just a lot of really good games in the SEC. Now, you would have heard me throw a fit here, yes, if you would have gotten LSU and Texas and Georgia, if you had gotten Alabama, Texas, and Georgia, if those were your three. Because that's just, it's just going to be very difficult to navigate that. And strength of schedule matters immensely in college football. It's not that big a deal in the NFL. Like it is, their first place schedules and last place schedules and their division crossovers and those types of things. But like it's 30 teams on a level playing field. This is 16 teams and it's not a level playing field. Kentucky is just not Bama. Vandy is just not Texas. So strength of schedule matters. And the reason that Indiana got in the playoff last year is not because they were great at football. It's because they played an easy schedule. If South Carolina had played Indiana's schedule, they'd have been in. So it's a big deal how hard your schedule is. But assigning every school 3 opponents does not suggest what the strength of schedule ultimately is going to be. And I know that Matt and Jake this morning were just mortified that Florida wasn't a permanent opponent, that Bama wasn't a permanent opponent. They may be on the schedule next year. In fact, I bet one of them is. We just don't know. And I'll tell you this, like, you need a couple of games in your conference slate that you can win by 3 scores. It's more fun to get amped up and jacked up and fired up to play Florida, and Bama, and Texas, Georgia, and all that. But if you put the toughest 8 games on your toughest 9 games, I guess now at this point, toughest 9 games on your schedule, yeah, those Saturdays be fun. You'll get the emotions going. You're also probably not going to the playoff. So you got to kind of decide what's the most important thing. Is it testing your manhood every single Saturday, or is it making sure you're in the playoff? You can't make sure of that, but it's just something that you've got to consider. And to me, I like to get in the playoff. I like Indiana's route from last year more than I like South Carolina's. So we'll see what the entire schedule is. I realize it's a lukewarm take from me to not go rant and rave and hoot and hollering, but this is just 3 games. And I think for LSU, it's fairly favorable because you don't have a true blue blood in that 3. But guess what? There will be 3 blue bloods on that schedule when it comes out for next fall. Just a matter of when and where, because you can't avoid them all in the SEC. So that's a look at LSU's permanent opponents. If you're looking for everybody's, you can find it over at LouisianaSports.net. I've got all your coverage there for free. Plenty to do in hour number 2. SEC picks against the spread. Some more LSU football discussion. We'll talk some injuries as well as Denton Day, national college football storylines. Bruce Pearl also steps away. We got to get into that as well. When we come back, let's talk some injuries. LSU had 4 that were updated, and then also Joe Burrow out for a significant amount of time. Bengals looked atrocious. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Have you explored a captive? Something that Jonathan wants me to harp on because it's something that they're proud of over at the Highland Insurance Group. They can handle captive insurance programs. And if you're a sizable business that has a big expenditure annually for insurance, has great loss history, great risk management, and want to change your bottom line, a captive may be exactly what you want. And if your broker has not presented that to you, maybe your broker is not capable. Maybe they don't have those relationships and that capability inside their balls. Well, the Highland Insurance Group does. They handle captives every single day. So if you're looking for an alternative that may change your bottom line drastically when it comes to your insurance, call the Highland Insurance Group. Say, hey, Jonathan, heard Hunt talking about captives. Let's have a meeting. He would love to do that and chat with you. They handle them every single day. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're based here in Baton Rouge. Can help you out statewide. HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Time now for Sports Health, presented by Auctioner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. Got a lot to talk about. It's our pleasure to welcome to the show Dr. Julie Neumann, who specializes in orthopedic surgery at Auctioner Health with a particular interest in sports medicine and disorders of the foot and ankle. She joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Dr. Neumann, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Hunt, for having me.
It is our pleasure. Unfortunately, Sundays have not been super pleasant down here in South Louisiana. The Saints are not playing very well. Generally, we have an option to go watch Joe Burrow play if the Saints aren't playing very well, but we're not right now because he's down with turf toe injury. I don't even know what turf toe is. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, I can, certainly. So turf toe is a very common injury. It's actually most common in football. So whenever an athlete hyperextends his or her big toe, they will tear the ligaments and capsules on the undersurface of the big toe. And even though it sounds like it's not a very big injury, it's a really big deal because you need your big toe to have push-off strength.
No question. Joe's a super tough guy, and he's played through a lot of pain in his time at LSU and with the Bengals. This is going to cost him a couple of months. What's that rehab and return like? Is it a deal where you just need to rest, or is there any way that he can get back more quickly?
Yeah, so the way that turf toe works, it's graded 1 to 3. So grade 1 is just a stretch injury. Grade 2 is a partial tear of the ligaments of the structures that are injured. And then grade 3 is a complete tear of the ligaments and capsules on the undersurface of the toe. Grade 3 sometimes will require surgery, and unfortunately, Joe has a grade 3 tear. So rehab for that is a bit more lengthy than it would be if you were to have a grade 1 or 2. A lot of times recovery, we don't see athletes coming back to sport for oftentimes 4 to 6 months from surgery.
Well, if yesterday was any indication, the Bengals are in big trouble without Joe Burrow. They were destroyed by the Vikings in Minnesota. When we speak about some things going on with LSU, obviously we don't speak in specifics in specific cases, but because of your specialty with foot and ankle, LSU does have some issues with ankles. And one of the things we've heard Brian Kelly talk about is the high ankle sprain versus not a high ankle sprain. Can you kind of give us an indication of what the difference is between those two injuries?
Yes. So when people talk about an ankle sprain, they're typically referring to a low ankle sprain, which is an inversion type injury. So the recovery from that ranges from about 4 to 6 weeks. A high ankle sprain is a different mechanism. So the foot actually will turn outwards, and the injury is higher up than your typical ankle sprain that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. The injury recovery from a high ankle sprain is a bit longer. On average, it's taking about 13 weeks or so for people who are treated non-operatively to return to sports. And then when you add operative intervention for the more severe injuries or the more unstable injuries, the recovery could be even longer.
So the two of the guys that have ankle issues for LSU are running back Caden Durham and then center Braylon Moore. They do obviously very, very different things on the field. When you speak about returning to action and guys playing in the mobility that may or may not be there, like I'm assuming when you talk about playing on the offensive line, you can do that a little bit more quickly than cutting as a running back. Does that sound right on that ankle injury?
That sounds right, yes.
That's kind of what I thought. So we'll see how those two guys progress. Braylon Moore obviously played over the weekend, and Caden Durham is day-to-day with that injury moving forward. Dr. Neumann, we really appreciate some time. Thanks so much, and have a great week.
All right, Hunt, you as well.
Dr. Julie Neumann with Ochsner. I want to remind you that at Ochsner Andrews Orthopedic Sports Medicine Institute, we know that sports injuries can be unpredictable, but one situation you can protect yourself from is heat illness. I know that it is technically fall. The highs are still in the 90s. Not time to drop your guard as far as heat illnesses go. Some key signs to look out for include excessive sweating, dry mouth, dizziness, fast heart rate, or change in a mental status. Feel any of these symptoms, stop physical activity immediately and find a place to cool off and replenish fluids. To learn more about sports industry prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/brortho. And always great to remind you about the folks over at Ochsner and Elite, which they've got. They can accept walk-ins even on the weekends if you do have an injury, whether youth athletics or just someone in middle age that has something that may come up on the weekends. Appreciate Dr. Neumann for giving us a little bit of time. I'm super bummed out about Burrow and then about the Bengals. I mean, if you watched the game yesterday, like Jake Browning just completely overmatched. Vikings scored a couple of defensive touchdowns by the same player, which never happens. And they were just annihilated from start to finish. I was driving around yesterday doing some errands, and we carried the Bengals game yesterday, and I popped it on and heard the score and went, whoa. So that's just another year of Joe and Jamar wasted, which is a bummer, because if what we saw yesterday from the Bengals is any indication of what that's going to look like moving forward, they've got no shot. And it's disappointing because it really shows you the state of that organization when Burrow is not in the middle of it. And it's not like, I mean, the Vikings are playing with Carson Wentz out there and dicing them up. So Joe is propping up an entire organization, it feels like, with his right arm and his legs. And when he's not out there, it just crumbles. And it's disappointing that when they struck gold with this draft pick, they couldn't surround him with enough to make it work. And I realized they were 2-0 when he went out, but like, you ought to be able to put up a fight when he's not out there. And they couldn't even put up a fight. So that's a bummer. I've joked about my Bengals fandom on here time and time again, my Commanders fandom time and time again. No, I don't. It doesn't move the needle at all when those two guys are on the field. I didn't watch any of the Bengals yesterday. I didn't watch any of the Commanders yesterday. My rooting interest is solely based on those two quarterbacks. And when they're not there, it's just gone. And so I was excited at the opportunity for the Bengals to start 2-0 and to maybe make a push when it feels like the Chiefs are kind of abdicating their throne here. I know they won last night, but I don't think anybody's really impressed with what the Chiefs are doing offensively right now. Feels like the AFC is kind of like Bengals, and then you got Bills and Ravens is what it felt like. And you look up and, man, it's I realize that the Broncos are good, the Chargers are playing well, and there are other teams, but you got used to the Bengals kind of being in that mix with Joe and getting into the playoffs, and with the Chiefs kind of taking a step back. Could have been a chance, but this injury is going to derail the entire season. You just heard Dr. Neumann talking like he's got the worst grade turf toe you can have with a full tear, and he's not going to be able to come back 6 months potentially. In the offseason at that point. So big bummer for the Bengals to have that happen. It just got exacerbated yesterday when they got annihilated. That's it for hour number one. Open with LSU and Southeastern. Really, my only takeaway there was that Nussmeier looked healthy. Speaking of healthy people, that was great. So talked about that top of the show, and then we discussed the Saints and Kellen Moore's decision to kick two just weak field goals yesterday. So if you want to catch that, hunt on LSU, hunt on Saints for all our LSU and Saints-centric content. Also, talked a little bit there about LSU's permanent opponents. You can catch it on LSU as well. When we come back, let's talk about the Saturday in the Southeastern Conference. Also get to some of Bruce Pearl. Denton Day, 35 minutes from right now, talking National College Football.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, breaking NFL news. Huge loss for the 49ers defense, which has played well through the first couple of games of the season. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL. He needs surgery. Two teams with Super Bowl aspirations meet on Monday Night Football, Lions and Ravens. For as successful as Baltimore and Lamar Jackson have been in primetime, this matchup is about more than the end result tonight, explains ESPN NFL analyst Pete Schrager.
Nothing is going to be accomplished tonight by beating the Detroit Lions in Week 3. It's not like you're going to look at your resume and say, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do this, he didn't do this, but he beat the Lions in Week 3 of the 2025 season. That said, when you're looking at what the Bills are doing up there in the AFC East, and you're looking to hold serve, and you know how important home field is in these playoffs, I think this game does matter in the big picture.
Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, ABC and ESPN. Auburn men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl has stepped down, will move into an ambassador's role in the athletic department. His son, Steven, the Tigers' associate head coach, expected to be the head coach this upcoming season.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, the Eagles are clearly the #1 team in my power rankings. But how will the rest of the top 5 shake out? It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Denton Day, 30 minutes from right now, talking about the national landscape in college football. Always enjoy our conversations with Denton, so we'll catch up with him at the bottom of the hour. Crank up the top of the hour as we do every single week. My picks against the number. Beck, I promised you a 9-0 week. Did I deliver?
No.
You said that very quickly, very decisively.
Yes, because I knew 100% without any question that you were not even close to being 9-0.
How close was I?
Not close at all.
4-5. Not a terrible week.
Terrible
Pretty
week.
Pretty solid effort.
Pretty bad effort.
Had Arkansas -7.5. They lost, so that's a loser. Had the Vols -38.5. UAB, Trent Dilfer with the backdoor.
That's right. That was the backdoor. That's right.
That was the backdoor cover. Had Auburn +7.5. That hit. Had the Mississippi State Bulldogs covering against Northern Illinois, 21.5. That did get home as well. Had South Carolina staying with it, 9.5. That hit. They lost by 9. Had Florida +7.5. Billy Boy did not get it done. Had Georgia State Panthers +28.5. They gave up 70 points. So that was bad. That was not a great pick. And then I had I said that Texas would win 50-0 and covered the 39.5. They won 55-0, so that was a winner there. 4-5 on the week. Also had Tulane covering. They did not cover. So storylines from the week. I think I've got to start with Arkansas and Memphis. That's just a game you cannot lose if you're Arkansas. You got a 2-score lead, and you just can't get stops against Memphis. You let them rip off a 65-yard plus touchdown run, and then you've got a chance to go down there and kick a field goal to take the lead under a minute, and you fumble. What are you doing? What are you doing? There's no excuse for fumbling in that spot. You have to. The only thing that matters when you're inside the 10-yard line, down by 2, is holding on to the ball. I don't care if you get 3 yards. I don't care if you lose 1 yard. Hold on to the ball. And they get it knocked out. Nice play by the Memphis defensive player, but again, I don't care how many yards you gain. Just hold it and let them kick the field goal. Awful, awful stuff there from Arkansas, and they just find ways to lose. And they are going to pay for the fact that they wouldn't swallow the money and buy Sam Pittman out of his contract. He could have been fired 2 years ago after 4-8. He could have been fired last year. They decided to keep him around. They let him have Bobby Petrino to coach the offense, and they are good on offense. But they're terrible on defense. And there have been times where they've been good on defense and terrible on offense. Because you've got a head coach who doesn't have an expertise in terms of game planning. He's an offensive line coach. And now that he doesn't have a significant amount of money to go pay the players, you don't have the talent. And the question now becomes with Arkansas, and not about losing to Memphis, which is embarrassing, but you've got an athletic director who just last week addressed the Little Rock Touchdown Club and suggested that the athletic department is not set up to succeed in football. Which, yeah, you're telling that to the Little Rock Touchdown Club or Quarterback Club or whatever it is, but now you're about to go interview head coaching candidates. Who's going to take that job when the athletic director says, yeah, we can't really compete at football? Who wants that job? Somebody just wants to collect a buyout? It's a mess on the Hill right now in Fayetteville. There's no doubt about that. And it was just an embarrassing loss for the Hogs on Saturday. Florida, I'm stunned as I sit here that Billy Napier still has a job. Stunned. They cannot move the ball at all. And that is Billy Napier's side of the football. And on that side of the football, you've got the guy who's supposed to save the program, the 5-star recruit, and he's in his second year, which by this point, you're a veteran. The elite players, the great talents that become great players and get drafted, leave after 3 years. So when you're midway through year 2, you're a vet. And DJ Lagway can't make any plays. They can't move the ball. And Miami's got a nice defense, but you look up and they can't score on South Florida, and they can't score on LSU, and they can't score on Miami. So now this is 3 weeks in a row where your offense is just inept, and that's his side of the ball. So this is so much worse than Dan Mullen or Jim McElwain ever were. And Florida's still just kind of kicking this can down the road. He'll be fired. He's not going to finish the season. But I'm stunned that he hasn't been fired yet. And then Florida will be in the market for a new head coach. I was on the record, vocal, thought LSU should hire Billy Napier. I talked to some folks in Lafayette. They're just glowing reviews from him. Comes from the Saban tree. Has a system to run offensively. Won a ton of games and sustained that success at Louisiana Lafayette. But you look up at what they showed. I mean, they scored 7 points. 7 points in the game at Miami. Just not nearly good enough for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Other storylines. Briefly, Beck, I'll get your thoughts on this. Arch Manning flexing over a Sam Houston player.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on that? Because I've got a few.
Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do it. You can't.
I'm going to reach a little bit further. I don't know Arch Manning. I didn't watch any of his games at Neumann. I've got a reasonable sense of his upbringing and therefore his personality. Like reasonable. Not going to claim to know him personally or watch a lot of his interviews or anything like that. But like, I think we all we know where he came from. We know where he grew up. And we know generally what his demeanor and what his family kind of presents itself as. That taunting a Sam Houston player screamed to me about a young person trying to be something that he's not as a show. To try to prove like, oh, I am big bad. Like it felt like it did not feel like a spur of the moment thing that happened. It felt like a forced thing. And it looked really, really silly. If you want to bow up to an Oklahoma safety that you just scored over, like that'll endear yourself to the Texas fans. You might get a 15-yard penalty, but that'll endear yourself to them. This just looked really silly. And for those that didn't see it, like Arch ran a touchdown in, a Sam Houston player fell down, was on his butt on the end zone, and Arch like flexed over him and walked toward him. I just don't get the sense that that's what he's ever been on a football field, and it felt like he was just trying to be something he's not because he realizes how much scrutiny he's under. It's an unenviable spot that Arch Manning is in, no doubt. But I thought it was a really, really weird deal. And then you got Ole Miss playing against Tulane. We're going to talk a lot of Ole Miss this week, but they do at this point have I think controversy is probably too strong a word. They have a quarterback discussion that's got to be had, and we'll talk about it all week. But Trinidad Chambliss is playing great. He's running well. He's throwing it well, and like we saw Austin Simmons in the game last week in an emergency come in when Chambliss got hurt, and he couldn't walk. So the discussion is probably not for Ole Miss. Do we start Trinidad Chambliss or do we start the incumbent starter who he kind of anointed in this spot? Or I don't think that's the discussion. I think the discussion is, do we have to rush Austin Simmons back or not? And I think the answer is probably not. Because I doubt he's 100% for the LSU game. I mean, the guy that could barely walk on the field 2 weeks ago, to feel 100% on that ankle, I doubt it. There were people that watched him warm up, talking about Simmons, watching him warm up on Saturday, like said he looked okay, but like certainly not fully healthy. So like, do you go with the healthy backup or do you go with the slightly gimpy starter? I think that's probably the discussion that we'll have. Either way, they laid Tulane to waste on Saturday, just never competitive at any point. 45-10 was the final. It was 23-3 at halftime, and the Rebs scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Chambliss threw for 307 yards and also ran for 112. So I realize that Tulane's not LSU, but he's capable, and so they probably don't have to rush Simmons back. Is kind of my thought. But this is a funny thing to think about on Monday to me, because I live in this world where we're constantly writing updates and reporting the news that we hear and seeing what comes out. And like, we're going to talk about who the starter is going to be on Saturday all week. And we'll read the injury report and make an inference from that. And we'll do all those things. And really the true answer is not going to come out until literally Ole Miss breaks the huddle on Saturday. Lane's not going to say a word. The injury report will be deceptive. We're not going, but we'll talk about it all week, and we'll report the injury report news as if that carries any weight whatsoever. And the fact of the matter is that we're not going to learn the answer until Saturday. So that's where this is headed here. Ole Miss beats Tulane 45-10, and then Vanderbilt scored 70, as I said. So we'll throw them some.
Yeah, well, of course, Auburn, Oklahoma, and South Carolina, Missouri are both pretty good games.
Yeah, they were. I thought that Oklahoma's defense once again looked good. I thought John Mateer threw some really nice balls. I thought that it was amazing to me that an officiating crew can be told all offseason not to let teams do deceptive plays, and you can do a play that's so obviously deceptive that it's not flagged. Like, everyone in the building knew when he snapped the ball and the guy was wide open with nobody on that, oh, this was something that they did pre-snap. And then for Hugh Freeze to say that, and then the SC to come out and apologize and say, yeah, that was a miss. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
I get how you miss a hold. I get how you miss a guy foot razor thin, stepping out of bounds or not. I get, not seeing some things. That's so obvious. And they don't throw the flag. That's wild to me. And then, Missouri got a nice win. I thought that game would be close. It was pretty close. And
Do you think Sellers was really 100%? Probably, no, not at all.
No,
I
he's
think.
probably a little cloudy, but, He'll be 100% if nothing else happens for LSU.
Yeah, and Missouri. I mean, now that they've got Alabama, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma, so those are going to be their real test here. I don't know that I would say that many people would think Missouri can compete with Alabama. Even though Alabama has, they've looked better than they did the first week, but Missouri's in an interesting spot. I think they've played really well. Bo Prabula looks like he looks the part so far.
No, he does for sure. This is more proof to me that South Carolina is just not in a position where they can have that big season. They just had 9 wins last year and then lose a lot of talent. You're just not going to restock those shelves at South Carolina with Shane Beamer at the coach. Like, he might have another good team next year. He might have another good team in 2 years. And I don't think Shane Beamer is going to trot out a 4-7 squad that stinks. But like, the suggestion that they were going to build off of that was always a stretch to me, and they have not. They've lost 2 games to Vanderbilt and Missouri, who are fine teams, but they're not elite teams by any stretch. So
and Oklahoma, so they got Kent State this week, and they play Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and then they go on the road to South Carolina. And then after that, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU.
Yeah, they're close. It's absurd.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, that's a look at the Southeastern Conference. What's my season-long total as far as the I was 4-5 this week. So what's
that's
my
correct.
Season-long?
Your season-long total is 16-25, Hunt.
I'm close to 500.
No, you're not.
Could get there this week.
It's time for Costanza, Hunt. It's time.
I was seeing the board so clearly on Friday.
Obviously not. Obviously you weren't seeing it you were seeing it very blurry. 4-5.
Hogs minus 7.5. Not a good pick.
8-11 in the last 2 weeks.
It's not that bad.
It's not good either.
We'll try again on Friday. When we come back, we'll update you on LSU's injuries next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. You go by and see the folks at Genesis. That's my suggestion to you. Everyone's not in the car market all the time. Maybe that is coming up later this fall. Maybe that's 2 years from now. But when you do make the decision to get into the market for a new vehicle, just put Genesis on your list. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. And the folks over at Genesis Baton Rouge are going to take care of you. No detail goes unnoticed. That's from the facility to the line of vehicles to the staff. They're going to treat you like a guest, not a customer. They're not going to upsell you or pressure you or deceive you in any way. Those stereotypes exist for a reason. They do happen, not at Genesis. They're just going to take care of you and help you get behind the wheel of one of the finest cars on the road. Every single new purchase comes with America's best warranty. Ask them about it. They're happy to tell you about it. You probably haven't been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Change that. Get behind the wheel. They'll come to you for a test drive. If you want to purchase that car, they'll deliver it to you. You don't even have to set foot on the dealership lot. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're an airline at PQ. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk some injuries for LSU. Brian Kelly updated the status of 4 injured Tigers today. We'll start with the positives. Trey'Dez Green is going to play against Ole Miss. For those that saw the video, did not see the video over the weekend, Trey'Dez did warm up for the game on Saturday. He had a knee brace on, but he was going through warm-ups full speed in street clothes. He was running, he was jumping, he was making one-handed catches. He feels pretty good, I'm told. So Trey'Dez Green is a go for LSU against Ole Miss. That's a big, big get for LSU to have him back in a game that is going to require them to score some points. You cannot rely on your defense to hold Ole Miss to 13 points this weekend. Like, they may, and I'll be pumped if they do, but I can't rely on that. And to have Trey'Dez Green back, that's a big, big deal. Another one on the positive side, West Weeks did run yesterday on Sunday. Brian Kelly said he hit 90% of his top speed. He's dealing with that strained calf, and probable was the word that Brian Kelly used today. So Devon Keys was very good in the 2 weeks that he played, and he'll be certainly an option this week against Ole Miss. But West Weeks is probably on track to play alongside his brother when LSU goes to Oxford on Saturday. So that's the good news on those. Trey'Dez Green, ready to roll. West Weeks, just about ready to roll. He'll be good to go on Saturday. On the lesser news, you've got running back Caden Durham, who rolled his ankle on Saturday. I will be honest. I missed this. I didn't see when it happened. I'm doing a lot of things in the press box. I am writing and tweeting and getting things ready for the post game. Like, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I usually see injuries. I did not see Caden Durham go down.
I was watching the game on TV, and I didn't see it either. It must have been just
kind of tweaked it and came off the field, and then said I can't go back in, which it's what they should do against Southeastern. Don't need to risk that. But Brian Kelly said today in regards to Durham that he will be day to day, better than we thought is what he said, and it does not show signs of a high ankle sprain, so he's anxious to give it a shot and play, but we'll monitor him throughout the week. So you've got a low ankle sprain, and obviously that's not a great position to have an ankle issue. LSU's depth at running back is not great. You do not have JT Lindsey available, so it's basically Juwan Johnson and Harlem Berry. Like, that's essentially what, and Caleb Jackson, sorry. And that's basically what you've got. Juwan Johnson got the lion's share of the reps when Durham went out on Saturday. I thought he looked good. We've talked to Juwan a couple of times. He's pretty comfortable back there. He does understand the offense. He learned it from a quarterback's perspective. And he's big and physical and knows what he's doing with the football. So he's a talented guy. I don't think the drop off from Durham to Johnson and to Berry, I don't think it's massive, but the depth is just not there. Just to have those three guys and that's it is a little bit frightening for LSU from a running back perspective. You haven't given Berry very many reps. Caleb Jackson hasn't been used very much in the last year and a half. And Johnson just switched to the position. So it's a tenuous spot there for running back. Hopefully Caden Durham can get some treatment this week and can give it a go in whatever capacity he's available on Saturday. But it's certainly a question at this point, and I think Juwan Johnson might be the starter. I would like to see Harlem Berry get some more carries than he did on Saturday, just to continue to get his feet wet and get him comfortable. But Juwan Johnson got a lot of those carries, so we'll see how that goes. Caden Durham, probably questionable at this point for Ole Miss. Gabe Relaford will not play against Ole Miss, the Tiger defensive end. Let me get this word correct, because Brian Kelly used a very specific word. A subluxation of his shoulder. I don't know what that is. But he was in a sling on Saturday, and there is now further information that's going to be gathered today and tomorrow so they can determine whether or not Relaford can play through it later on after he misses a little bit of time, or they need to have surgery, which likely is going to cost him the rest of the season. That determination, as Brian Kelly said today at the podium, has not yet been made. They don't know what that is going to look like, but it is a significant issue, and it's just maybe, I'm not sure if it's a pain tolerance thing or if it is a structural thing to make it worse. We'll see, but they're going to get some more information on Gabe Relaford. That doesn't sound great to me. I'm not a doctor, and I don't even know what subluxation means, but here's the thing that we talked about a lot since August. There is no position on the field where LSU doesn't have a little bit of depth. I would suggest probably your biggest drop-off from starter to next man up is probably at the star, because Harold Perkins' skill set is unique to him. But you saw Whit Weeks go out against Florida. Devon Keys stepped in and was great. You saw A.J. Halsey go down in the game and couldn't play against Clemson in the first half of that suspension. Jordan Gilbert stepped in, played very well. LSU didn't miss a beat. You got to go to Ashton Stamps at corner. He's played a lot. You got 4 guys at defensive tackle. You got 4 guys on the edge. So you got more than 4, but 4 that are proven. So with Relaford going down, still got Pyburn, still got Peyton. They're going to play the most. Then you've got Jamari Butler, who had a nice game against Southeastern on Saturday. Those 3 are your main guys, but Dylan Carpenter played a lot on Saturday. You've also got Kalaj Cobbins, who had a really good camp last year and is a second-year player. That's depth. So you still got 4 or 5 guys you can go to at defensive end, 3 of whom are very, very proven veterans. So I'd rather play with Gabe Relaford. I'd rather Gabe Relaford be out there. That would be a nice add for LSU, but they're going to be missing him for a little bit, if not the rest of the year, and they still have significant depth there at defensive end. So I think that's all good. So to put everything in the summation, looking at Tradez, good to go. West Weeks, almost good to go. Should be ready to roll on Saturday. Caden Durham, iffy this week. We'll see how the week progresses. And Gabe Relaford going to miss this week and could miss a little bit more time with a significant shoulder issue that removed him from the game back on Saturday. So that's your injury catch-up here on this Monday. You can read about it over at LouisianaSports.net. We'll step aside. Denton Day. Let's talk some football, SEC, National College Football, and maybe some Commanders as well with Denton Day next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hope that work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge every Monday. We chat with our guy Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. Get a thought on national college football landscape. He joins us now on the Jim's Farms hotline. Denton, how are we feeling?
Hunt, what's up, man? A great week of action. So I'm feeling pretty good. I know you guys are feeling good down there, too.
Yeah, things are all right. We figured so with the FCS team coming in, but an interesting one coming up this week because the boys head to Oxford, tangle with Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. Let's start with Florida and Miami. 26-7. Florida doesn't really put up a fight offensively. How good's Miami?
I think they're really good. I think they're the best team in the country. You know, this Florida defense is, as you guys know, it's a very good defense, and Miami was able to put up some points on them. It wasn't the best game of Carson Beck. I feel like what we saw against Florida was a much more realistic version of Carson Beck. Not to say that he's always going to turn the ball over, but you know, the Heisman frontrunner thing I was never fully in on with him. So I think this is a much more realistic version, but they proved that even when he's not playing completely out of his mind, they're capable of winning games. So we just got to make sure that Mario Cristobal doesn't screw one or two up in November, and I think they'll be heading in a good direction in the ACC.
Indiana 63, Illinois 10. I didn't see that one coming. Fernando Mendoza throws 5 touchdowns. What did you make of it?
I saw Indiana winning. I did not see them hanging 63 on the opponent. I don't even know if you're Illinois how you come back from that. Yeah, that's a real win for Indiana. They hadn't had one yet. They had beaten a bunch of bad teams, but to do that to a top 10 team in the country, I know it was at their place, but still, I mean, that was pretty insane. I think I look at them with a little bit of a different perspective. This Mendoza kid's really good. Doing that to Indiana State's one thing, but doing it to Illinois, because I still think Illinois is a halfway decent team, but I think Indiana is a legitimately, potentially good team. We don't get to often see teams that are not traditionally good have a good season and then use that as momentum, but they've done a really good job, building off of 2024, even with some changes, obviously quarterback being one of the changes. There's something about Kurt Cignetti, man. I mean, he's not my favorite in the world. He's a little arrogant, but he gets to talk all the mess he wants to this week after you hang 63 the way they did.
I just feel like that's a bad loss for Nebraska, 27-30 on their home field. I get Michigan's got some talent, but it's just, if you're going to get out of neutral in the Matt Rule era, that's a game you need to win, and they didn't win it. What do you think?
I'm in the same boat with you. I thought Raiola played fine. I thought the run defense for Nebraska was atrocious. And I know Michigan is one of the better run teams in the country, because they certainly are one of the better passing teams in the country. But you have to be able to stop the run. You should be understanding we are going to sell out to stop the run. If Underwood beats you with his arm, hey man, the freshman played really, really well, but you can't let them beat you on the ground. And I thought, specifically in the second half, they go in with that Hail Mary, and then they come out and they just get walked right down on. I couldn't fathom how bad the defense was, at least in the trenches in the second half. So that's a bad loss. They'll have an opportunity at redemption later in the year with some of the teams on their schedule, but they needed that one, and it would have put them in a completely different, I think, trajectory had they gotten that one.
Texas Tech goes to Utah 34-10. They spent a lot of money on that roster. It showed up on Saturday night.
Yeah, they were good. And I think that game was a little bit more about maybe some people having too high of expectations for Devin Dampier. He's a good player, certainly, but Utah had been putting up some pretty substantial numbers points-wise, numbers that we're not accustomed to them putting up, and I think everyone was running with this idea that the bookmakers included that this Devin Dampier kid is the truth, and it's not to say that he's not, but Texas Tech has a legitimate championship caliber roster. They paid a lot of money, as you mentioned, to make it that way. I think they're a really, really good team, even with the backup quarterback in. It's a big, big win for them, but to me, that was more about people overinflating Utah.
You find Texas Tech to be the favorite in the Big 12?
Yes. Yeah, mostly because I don't really trust anybody else. So it's not that I super duper trust them. It's just like I'm not putting the eggs in the basket of some of those other teams.
Okay. Let's go to the Southeastern Conference. Oklahoma 24, Auburn 17. Hugh Freeze did a good job dodging the question about the trick play. What did you think about that one?
I thought it was creative. I can understand if you're an Auburn fan why you're really, really upset at that one. I sometimes I do question, because Auburn was ranked, I guess it kind of makes sense, but burning a play like that in September, I feel like was maybe a little too soon. I would have saved that one, especially knowing what their schedule is to potentially steal a win when they're running the gauntlet against like an Alabama or like a Tennessee when they go back-to-back away games. So I would have saved that one if they wanted to use it, but I feel like you can't use it again. It was fun while it lasted. I think they still would have won regardless. I didn't like burning that play in September.
What do you feel about Auburn and Oklahoma moving forward after watching that?
Oklahoma's good. I think defensively, them and LSU are probably the two best defenses, not in the SEC, but the country right now. Like the way that Brent Venables is coaching up that defense, they're fast, man, and they get after the quarterback. They're going to be a really tough out, even though they're running that gauntlet. The question is just going to be, can John Mateer consistently put together really strong performances while they're running that gauntlet? If the answer to that question is yes, they're going to be at least at the top or echelon of the SEC by the end of the season. If the answer to that's no, then they're going to be kind of hovering around the middle tier. But I think defensively they're good. It's just about the quarterback.
And Auburn?
I kind of like Auburn. Like I walked away from that game thinking they're not nearly as bad as I thought they were, because I kind of thought Oklahoma was going to crush them. I didn't think the defense was going to be able to stop Oklahoma's offense. And while Jackson Arnold is not my favorite quarterback in the world, I do think that they're at least a good enough team around him to where they might still be able to get like 8 wins.
Ole Miss just destroyed Tulane 45-10. Trinidad Chambliss goes for 419 total yards against the Green Waves. Does Lane Kiffin have a decision to make, in your opinion?
Yeah, he does. And, I'm a little swayed by that because we had Chambliss on this weekend, and he was a great dude, so, I'm kind of rooting for him. But I think he's really, really good. And I can't really recall a time where Ole Miss had a quarterback that was a legitimate threat, at least in the Lane Kiffin era, with his arms and his legs. Now, Tulane is obviously different than the defenses that Ole Miss is going to see, and with better competition, we'll get kind of a better idea as to what this Chambliss kid is really going to be about. But the way that he was confident, and I thought there was a very big distinction in his confidence level from his first start to his second start. That was really impressive to me. So I would go with him moving forward. That's a decision for Lane Kiffin, not for me, but I think they have one with the backup quarterback.
Well, let's talk about Ole Miss and LSU. That's a game that's coming up on Saturday. It'll be 2:30 on ABC there in Oxford. Line open with LSU is a 1.5 favorite. It's been bet all the way to Ole Miss -2.5. Now, how do you feel about that one?
I think that line is going to be swinging the entire week, so that there's going to be a point probably Wednesday or Thursday where it might go back in the direction of LSU, and then maybe by the time kick comes, it'll go the other way. I do like LSU. I think defensively they're going to be really, really good, and like the performance, even if it is shambles, the performance that he had this weekend is not going to, I don't think that's going to happen against this LSU defense, but the defense for Ole Miss is vulnerable. And I do think that Garrett Nussmeier can work against that defense pretty well. I'm thinking it'll be a little bit more of a higher scoring affair, not a crazy high scoring affair, not a track meet by any sense, but I do think both teams will be able to put some points up, but I kind of, if that line is going in the direction of Ole Miss at 2.5, I feel really good about LSU.
Here's a game that's lost some juice over the last 3 weeks. Notre Dame is in Fayetteville to play Arkansas. Those two teams are 3-4 combined now. Notre Dame at 4.5-point favorite. Feel like it could be the end for Sam Pittman here?
I think so. I think Notre Dame is in a position where they have to get some style points too. So there's going to be a real emphasis on trying to put up as many points as possible. And you know this, I know this, blowouts are what kill coaches on the rocks.
Yep.
It's the final straw where you just get the doors completely blown off of you. And then the person in the boosters who you're trying to sway to pay some money sees that and they're like, all right, we're done flirting. Here's the money. Take it. Get that guy out of there.
Yeah, we'll see. Ohio State's going to Seattle. Is that a tricky spot for them?
It will be. It's more so just because I still don't really know what Julian saying is. Like, my issue with Ohio State being number one right now and not Miami is that they beat Texas, but Texas clearly did not have a capable quarterback at that point. I still don't really know if Arch is capable. Call me crazy for Sam Houston not swaying me the way that maybe it did for some people. But I just don't really know what the quarterback is against good quality defenses and good quality talent. So I'm a little skeptical. I still think Ohio State's going to win it. I'm not thinking that Washington's going to beat them, but I think we'll learn a lot more about Ohio State as a program or as a team this year while watching them play teams that are actually in their weight class.
I'll be doing post-game from a sports book in South Louisiana on Saturday when these two games are on the screens. Hopefully I'm in a good mood. Number 6, Oregon at Penn State. Number 17, Alabama at Georgia. Let's take them in that order. Oregon headed to Happy Valley. Penn State, 3.5-point favorite in this one. How do you see it?
I like Oregon. Penn State's issue from last year and the year before that and the year before that has carried over to this year. They start slow. And you can't start slow against Oregon because Oregon's not going to start slow.
No.
So Drew Aller is going to need to start that game in third gear instead of the first gear that we've seen for the first couple weeks of the season. You can't play with your food with this one, so I really like Oregon in that spot. Oregon's also quietly become one of my favorite teams in the country just because of the way that Dante Moore's played. So I'm riding with the Ducks against Penn State.
Alabama's been a bugaboo for Kirby Smart and Georgia. Can the Tide go to Athens and win?
I think they can. Honestly, I think Ty Simpson's played a lot better since that Florida State game. He's gotten into a nice rhythm, so I'm really curious to see this is kind of, I would say, redemption for him now going up against a good team. It's in a very similar light to Florida State. So I'm really curious to see what he does. I think Alabama can win, but Kirby Smart's been kind of in his bag. I thought he ran circles around Josh Heupel a couple weeks ago. So we'll see if at the coaching discrepancy or if Kirby Smart can maybe steal a possession or two that ends up costing Alabama the game.
He's Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime every Friday and Saturday night. You can catch him there and you can catch him here on Mondays. Thanks, man.
Hunt, appreciate it as always, my friend.
That is Denton Day from our nation's capital. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. I want to touch on Bruce Pearl's retirement. We'll do that, and then we'll play some Take It or Leave It, get on out of here. Hope your work week's off a good start. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday, The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Go to the website. Check out OneBathAndClosets.com. There are great photos of the work that David and his team do. They can transform closets and bathrooms, update them, make them more functional, more gorgeous, and put some value into your home. It's One Bath and Closets. If they want to do a full-scale bathroom renovation, they can do it. They can turn that standing shower into a linen closet, turn that big jacuzzi-style tub into a walk-in shower, relay the floors. They can handle the plumbing. They got a master plumber there under contract. They can handle big projects like that. Or they can do something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. Just take it right out. But it's 3 to 5 days, David said, depending on the scope of the work. Big or small, One Bath and Closets, happy to help you with your project. So go to the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. Get that free consultation with David. Talk it out with him. If you're looking for financing, they do have 0% up to 18 months, same as cash if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Bend Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Rouse's wants to help you cover the spread this football season. We're talking the ultimate tailgate spread: party trays, dips, fried chicken, anything you want to throw on the grill, plus plenty of ice cold drinks to wash it all down. All you have to do is register now at 1045ESPN.com for your chance to win. One winner will be chosen each week, and everyone who registers will be entered into a drawing for a grand prize of postseason tickets. Rouse's markets your tailgating headquarters.
Some breaking news in SEC country today. If you're just getting off work and hopping in the car, Bruce Pearl announced his retirement today, released a 12-minute video talking about his time at Auburn. 11 years on the plains for Bruce Pearl. Crazy. I can still remember his team making that run in the SEC tournament when they weren't good yet. And you were like, well, he'll probably figure something out. And he sure did. Winningest coach in the history of Auburn basketball, 2 Final Fours on the plains. And let's remember that Auburn basketball, basically my entire life, has been a doormat in the SEC. The Tony Barbie teams, and they were terrible. And they hired Bruce Pearl, and they built Neville Arena, and they became a national power. That was as intimidating a basketball venue as there was in the country the last 5 years. It just was. And he had great teams that had different personalities, And the one Final Four team he had that was just a high-flying three-point shooting juggernaut. Then you had the team that was led by Janai Broom. And they had a great run because they hired the right coach and invested in the program. And they spent a ton of money on the arena, and they spent a ton of money on the roster, and they spent a ton of money on the coach. And Auburn became relevant. It's the same thing that Tennessee's doing in baseball right now. They got the right coach, and they're spending a lot of money on renovating the entire stadium, and they spend a lot of money in the transfer portal, and they're a national power. And it's just about commitment and making the right decisions. And there are a lot of programs around this conference that are LSU baseball, Kentucky basketball, Bama football, all these kinds that are blue bloods, that are mainstays, that are traditionally always in the top of this board, and that's transcended coaches. But there are also reclamation projects that happen because of the right coach and the investment. And Auburn certainly did that with Bruce Pearl. I always liked Bruce Pearl. There are plenty of coaches that have been in the Southeastern Conference that I have not liked at all. Bruce Pearl was never one of them. And this is odd timing, obviously, to step away. His son, Steven, is going to be the coach of the team this year, and I would strongly suggest that Auburn look into actually doing a coaching search next year. I'm confident that they will leave it in Steven Pearl's hands as a hat tip to Bruce. That's probably the wrong decision to me, but we'll see. But I would expect Auburn basketball to significantly fall off with Bruce Pearl leaving. I think that's likely what happens. When you're that good and you have that guy and he steps away, the next guy is generally not going to be able to hold up to that. So a brutal basketball league got a little bit easier today when Bruce Pearl stepped away. I don't know what that team's going to look like this year, but they certainly won't have Bruce Pearl running the practices, coming up with the game plans, and coaching on the bench. So interesting news from the Plains of Auburn. A heck of a career for Bruce Pearl if this is it. We'll see if he runs for political office or just steps away. He's 65 years old and has certainly been involved in politics. He goes on Fox News all the time. So we'll see what's next for Bruce Pearl, but a heck of a run on the Plains.
Here's a list of all the coaches who have retired in the 2020. So the last 5 years, here's a list of coaches that are retired. Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Jim Calhoun, Jim Boeheim, Tony Bennett, Jim Larinaga, Leonard Hamilton, Lon Kruger, Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list.
Pretty good.
Pretty good list. That's a lot of wins.
Yeah, a lot of wins.
Bruce Pearl never climbed the whole mountain. He won a national championship at the D2 level, I believe. Maybe Division III. Either way. Won national championship, but not at Tennessee or Auburn. Certainly not at, I think he was at Cleveland State? That's probably wrong.
I don't know.
Wisconsin, Green Bay, something like that. We can look it up on Wikipedia. Time for Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
It was at Milwaukee where Bruce Pearl
There you
was
go.
before Tennessee. Light by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Looking for a cold six-pack to watch some Monday Night Football. Should be a lot of points tonight in Monday Night Football. Want a cold beer to drink during that? Try Light by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
All right, first one here. Of course, Bruce Pearl talked about just now, him retiring. And interestingly enough, this is the third coincidence, I should say, maybe not a coincidence, that the Auburn Sports message board page has announced something very substantial before anyone else. They got Brian Harsin getting fired, Nick Saban's retirement before anyone else had it, and now Bruce Pearl's retirement. Get all your breaking news from Auburn Sports message board. Take it or leave it.
People like to talk. Find something out. Got to get it on the internet quickly. So, yeah, I'll take it. That's great.
I'll take it.
Those inside sources there on the Plains.
All right, next one here. ACC has fined Syracuse for faking injuries versus Clemson. Of course, Syracuse got the win there, but they did get a $25,000 fine, and the ACC publicly reprimanded them for faking injuries in the win, calling its actions unethical and contrary to the spirit of the rules. Take it or leave it.
Take it. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to fake injuries and get caught doing it. Like, that nice win on Saturday makes LSU's win look worse. I got a lot of flack for my tweet that LSU didn't have a quality win yet. But that doesn't help. And, yeah, it's embarrassing to fake injuries. Don't do that.
All righty, last one here. Ryder Cup European captain Luke Donald was asked about the fact that the U.S. will be paying stipends to their players, whereas Europe will not, and said that it's possible that the fans at Bethpage Black might turn on Team USA if things start to go south. Said, quote, that could happen. We all know how high the ticket prices are, and it's going to be an expensive trip out for a family of 4 if the U.S. players are getting paid a stipend or whatever it is and they aren't performing. The New Yorkers could make them know about it. Take it or leave it.
Well, press warfare.
Warfare?
Press warfare there for Luke Donald. Leave
it alone.
If the U.S. fans turn on him, I'll be so mad. You're in New York. They're bozos, and those Philly and New York fans are just awful with the way that they treat their home teams. Hopefully, there's a little more decorum with the Ryder Cup, maybe a little support for the Stars and Stripes as opposed to getting on them. I can't trust those big city folks in the Northeast, though. I feel like they could do it, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we just route them so they don't get the chance to turn on them.
Here we go this Friday.
Very excited. Very, very excited. Already asked my wife yesterday. I said, Alyssa, we don't have anything on Sunday, do we, when I come home from the pregame, postgame show? Because I'm staying in Kinder on Saturday night. Said, no, I don't think so. All right, well, don't ask me to do stuff because I'm watching the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, unfortunate that LSU's a 2:30 kick on Saturday. It's gonna run into it a little bit in the.
I'll be in a
Cup,
sports book, so I'll have access. I have about 50 TVs in front of me. I'll be the only one watching the Ryder Cup, but I will be watching it. I'm looking forward to it. All right, that's it for us. Catch us on demand wherever you find your sound. Matt's gonna drive you home next on AFR. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana.